Pretty much for the usual, it looks like people are attacking Xbox, and that's not really something that should take anybody by surprise, because this happens on a pretty much, I want to say, daily basis. It's just very interesting here because obviously a game that was PlayStation 5 console exclusive in Ghostwire Tokyo is now on Xbox, and they're running it through the whole gamut of, the filters of Digital Foundry and things like that. Is this something that realistically is going to matter to people? Like for me, I played the game, I'm playing it on Xbox, I'm about halfway through, I guess, and I haven't noticed anything in terms of, and I even have recorded footage of the game already, and there isn't really any issues that I've come across so far. That's not to say that there are none or whatever, but it's just one of those things where people are kind of trying to compare the two. And the most interesting thing that I saw from this was the flex from the PlayStation community was sort of weird, because it was like basically saying, after a year and many patches and updates, the game is running slightly better on a PS5 than it is an Xbox Series X at launch, and the Xbox Series X version is in fact having the same issues that the PS5 version had at launch. And people are trying to really make this out to be a huge deal. The main thing that I would point out is this, right? They're like, oh, it's a first party studio and they had a year to do it and blah, blah, blah. The thing that I would say is this: it's easier to port games down in terms of power to less power than it is up. So in this instance, you have a game that was on PS5 and you're porting it up to a more powerful platform. You're going to have, some issues there a little bit, and I would suspect that they're going to get them taken care of. Yes, it does suck that is a thing right now, and they're probably still getting their feet wet with this whole situation, but I want to get into it because I felt like this was definitely a topic that people wanted to kind of hear and cover and talk about. So let's get into it. I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you for checking it out. Please slap that like button. I'm looking to get 100 slaps on each video that I do. Would be tremendous if you could help me out with that. Again, just been pretty interesting so far to see, all the support and stuff like that. It's a very small goal on my part, but I'm looking forward to it anyway. So here's what was said, and Digital Foundry is there. So one of Xbox's latest game releases for the Series X and S has performance issues, and the PS5 version that has actually been out for a year and had many patches and updates is currently running it better. So I mean, that should maybe really come as a surprise. In this day and age, games are having a little bit more issue than they ever have in the past at launch. So despite being the owner of Bethesda and Tango Gameworks, Ghostwire Tokyo, the Xbox Series S and X version release, shows that the game actually performs better on PS5. Now, following the Xbox acquisition of Bethesda, Ghostwire Tokyo was released as a one-year console exclusive for PS5, and the long-awaited Xbox Series X and S version would finally launch this past week. Ghostwire Tokyo is a first-person action-adventure game starring Akito Azuki, a boy that becomes partially possessed by a spirit after a traffic collision in Tokyo. Shortly after he becomes possessed, the spirit protects him from being consumed by terrifying fog that turns Tokyo's residents into spirits. Now you must explore Tokyo and fight powerful enemies to solve several mysteries surrounding the incident and the masked man in there as well. The PS5 version of Ghostwire Tokyo first released in March of 2022, and the Series X and S versions would follow a year later on April 12th. Unfortunately, the Series X and S versions already appear to be facing some issues. According to this and an in-depth analysis by Digital Foundry, it reveals that Ghostwire Tokyo for PS5 runs better than the newly released Xbox Series X and S version. Ghostwire Tokyo for the Series X runs worse than its PS5 counterpart, and performance on the Series S appears to be worst out of all three, which no doy, by the way. According to Digital Foundry, ray trace reflections are somewhat lower quality with various bugs and ray trace shadows. The Xbox version's quality mode resolution is lower when compared to the same setting on PS5, and overall performance is 5 to 10% lower, depending on the scene in Ghostwire Tokyo. These problems appear to be even worse while examining performance on Series S. Why did they make it sound like that's some big shocker? Series S is much less powerful than the Xbox Series X and PS5. Like, duh. That's like, I don't understand that at all. Anyway, on the Series S, Ghostwire Tokyo does not feature any ray tracing support in both of its performance settings. Digital Foundry's analysis also finds that Ghostwire Tokyo on Xbox may run below, or Xbox Series S may run below 60 frames per second in performance mode. While playing in performance mode, the game is supposed to target a consistent 60. But anyway, the issue does not appear to be prevalent on the PS5 version. Ghostwire Tokyo for Xbox Series X and S appears to be facing Here's the key part. Very similar performance issues that the PS5 version faced during its own launch. Updates to the PS5 version would remedy these issues and bugs over the coming months, but these same fixes were not applied to the Xbox version following recent news of Redfall's performance limitation on Xbox Series X and S. Xbox fans may want performance fixes sooner rather than later. Anyway, this is like just one of the things that I just found to be kind of interesting was the different takes on this stuff. Speaking on Digital Foundry's podcast, Oliver McKenzie discussed his initial findings of the game, which will be broken down into detail. In general, it runs worse than PlayStation 5, and Series S is a bit of a mess. So it's a really weird situation and not really what you would expect from what is now a Microsoft first-party development studio. He explained the situation in more detail. The ray trace reflections are somewhat lower quality, and the shadow alignments have some bugs with ray trace shadows. Resolutions are pretty similar for the most part, but the quality mode has a moderately lower resolution than PlayStation 5. It looks like, and performance is typically 5 to 10% lower when comparing the same scene on PlayStation 5. Now, regarding the Series S performance, McKenzie says there are two graphical modes, and neither has ray tracing, and the game's performance reportedly can dip below 60, noting that the PS5 version released in March of 2022 and had its own performance issues. McKenzie said, "My hope, frankly, was that they would fix some of the issues that we observed last year, and if anything, it's gone in the opposite direction." So there is that. But again, for me personally, like, I'm enjoying the game. People, when they play video games, the interesting thing here is they're not going to be playing these things side by side, right? I get it, because it's weird to see this Microsoft-owned game or whatever and studio, and then just have that happen. But, you know, anybody can look this up and they go, "Oh, well, Crap Gamer's damage control," and look it up. It's easier to port down than it is up. And so what a lot of times we're seeing is when the PlayStation 5 is the lead platform on something, and they're having to port up, we see, you know, a couple issues, and then what happens is they will patch the issues, and, you know, things will get kind of better from there on out. And that's exactly what I expect here. Not that it's a big issue to me. Like, if you wanted to play the game, then, you know, I say play the game and, you know, enjoy the game for what it is. Like I said, I haven't seen any issues. It runs pretty good to me. I haven't played the PS5 version, but, you know, again, I prefer playing my third-party stuff on Xbox, so it shouldn't really come as much as a surprise that, you know, I waited to kind of play this game on Xbox. I actually think that makes the most amount of sense to me. It's included in my, you know, it's included in my subscription and everything. So yeah, you know, I'm kind of excited to see what happens in the future with this stuff. I think that, you know, Microsoft did indeed say, you know, we want to make sure that Bethesda games are, you know, better, best, or whatever, with with the Bethesda games. That was their whole goal. So hopefully we do continue to see that. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Please leave a like, and I'm gonna, you know, you can check out the article down below. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.